Coming up on KPBS Evening Edition, life after redevelopment tomorrow. Those agencies will be extinct in California.
Plus, one man's journey from combat in Iraq to homelessness to hot sauce in San Diego stores. KPBS Evening Edition starts now.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dwayne Brown.
And I'm Amitha Sharma, in for Joanne Farian.
Trustees of San Diego Unified are getting a look at a proposal to lay off 1,200 school employees next year. The layoffs include 800 teachers. The district's financial staff presented the plan today to prepare for an expected budget shortfall. The size of the gap depends on whether Governor Brown's tax hikes are approved by voters. The shortfall could range from $81 million to more than $120 million.
The Sweetwater Union High School District will not pay the legal fees of board members who are accused of corruption. 2 current board members and 1 former board member are accused of taking bribes in exchange for awarding construction contracts. They requested that the district pay the fees, but when the item came up at last night's board meeting, no one moved to take action.
Police say 2 drugs they don't want kids to get their hands on these days are bath salts and spice. Both are now illegal to sell in California. San Diego law enforcement and emergency room doctors say the drugs also increase the risk of death and overdose. While the name may sound harmless, bath salts are a synthetic stimulant, and drug users typically snort, inject, or smoke it. It's been sold under brand names like Ivory Wave and Bliss. County District Attorney Bonnie Dumanis says it's illegal and dangerous.
Last year, Poison Control Centers saw the number of calls on bath salts go from 300 to more than 6,000. The San Diego County Medical Examiner reported the first deaths last year.
And the designer drug Spice has been popular with kids and sailors. It's sold online and at smoke shops and mimics the effects of marijuana. Both drugs have caused an uptick in the number of emergency room visits. Dr. Richard Clark is with UC San Diego Medical Center.
People hallucinate, they get violent. We've seen a lot of people with self-destructive, self-mutilating type behavior with these drugs, both Spice and the bath salts products, which are different. We see people commit suicide. We see people commit homicide with these drugs. And up until now, the tragedy of the whole thing is that it was legal. Now, thank goodness, with everybody behind us, it's not, and we're doing something about it.
The DA and county sheriff is getting support from other agencies after sending out nearly 100 warning letters to businesses in the county who sell the products. Mark Arabo is president of the Neighborhood Market Association. It represents about 2,000 small grocers and mini-marts.
If you see a store or a smoke shop that sells this garbage, let the authorities know. Let us know, because we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that this garbage is off the shelves and never in California again.
A bill authored by a San Diego assemblyman and signed into law last year makes it illegal to sell the designer drugs. California has joined several other states in banning the sale of bath salts and spice.
A monthly report on San Diego's economy is showing improvements in several areas, from help-wanted ads to increases in building permits for multifamily homes. The report is published by the University of San Diego's Burnham Moore Center for Real Estate. Economist Ellen Jin says the outlook for San Diego is positive for this year. That USD report does not include home prices, and the latest word on that is not as positive. Standard & Poor's studies prices in 20 markets for its Case-Shiller index and says home prices fell again in November. Prices in San Diego were down nearly 5.5% from the year before.
Healthcare workers at Kaiser Permanente in San Diego and throughout California began a 24-hour strike today. KPBS science and technology reporter Peggy Pico is following this story. She joins us from the News Center with an update. So, Peggy, the strike began at around 6 this morning. Who was on the picket line?
Well, Dwayne, just over 200 of about 8,000 employees from Kaiser in San Diego were holding signs and chanting from about 6 this morning till 10 this morning. Most of the picketers were mental and behavioral health employees, along with a few dietitians and obstetricians, but no nurses were there.
What seems to be the big issue or dispute over this?
Well, this is a contract dispute that's been ongoing for about 2 years between Kaiser Permanente and the National Union of Healthcare Workers. Both sides admit the sticking points are about employees having to pay for their own health insurance. Until now, it's been free for them, and cuts to their retirement benefits.
Now, have we gotten any reaction from patients about this today?
Well, while I was there, it didn't seem to make any difference except for difficulty parking. And Kaiser executives, directors, and some of their administrators said they got a 10-day strike notice, so they were prepared.
Actually, it doesn't impact patient care at all. The hospital is open today. None of our RNs went on strike, so the hospital is fully open. The emergency department, all of our medical offices throughout San Diego County are open, seeing patients. Appointments are being seen, urgent care, emergent care. So our business is as we do day to day.
Yeah, and she actually mentioned that you could get another appointment if you wanted to and you didn't want to cross the strike lines, and I guess a few patients did that. Now, the Kaiser's had plenty of practice with this. This is the 4th time in the last 2 years that the union has issued a strike.
KPBS science and tech reporter Peggy Pico. San Diego's redevelopment agency met for the last time today. As of midnight, redevelopment agencies throughout California are no more because of a budget cut made by Governor Jerry Brown. Amitha is talking about the future of redevelopment with her guests at the Evening Edition Roundtable.
The demise of redevelopment comes after the California Supreme Court ruled that property tax money can no longer be channeled into redevelopment agencies to revive rundown neighborhoods. The state wants the money instead to be used for schools and public safety. Attorney Mike Jenkins worked on local redevelopment projects for several years. He's here to tell us what life will be like post-redevelopment. Mike, I want to get into the latest news on redevelopment first. Today, the state Senate passed a bill that would allow cities in the state collectively who intended to spend about $1.4 billion on affordable housing to use the money for that purpose anyway, even though redevelopment is gone. That bill is now headed to the Assembly. How big of a bone will the state throw to cities if this actually gets passed?
Well, I'm pleased that this has passed the Senate, and I hope it passes the Assembly, and I hope the governor signs it. I think affordable housing is a terribly important part of redevelopment. Unfortunately, it's not the biggest part of redevelopment, and I'm not sure that it can actually be accomplished because the affordable housing part is really subsidized by the success of the other projects that redevelopment engages in. So if there's not the other projects that have an increase in tax increment, then I don't know if there's going to be the revenue to pay for these affordable projects.
Moving on to the post-redevelopment world, this is an agencies that have existed since 1945. How do you go about shutting these agencies down? Who inherits the assets?
Well, under the law, the cities have the option of becoming the successor agency and taking on the responsibility of completing the projects that are going to be allowed to be completed and to fulfill all of the other obligations that are required under that law. A few cities have opted not to take on that responsibility, so that chore will be, the state will be authorized to set up its own board to handle that closeout. So it's going to be, in San Diego's case, it's the city of San Diego that's taking on that job.
So the city of San Diego has opted to do that.
They have.
And they have about $4 billion in projects that they'd like to see get built. They say that these were already in the pipeline before redevelopment got canceled. Some of these projects aren't even slated to start being built until another 50 years. How likely is the state to go for that?
Well, I think it's questionable. I think certainly the city made a calculated decision to try to put all of its projects into a contract and say that that contract protects the obligation for all of those projects to be completed. But the law that was adopted and approved by the California Supreme Court basically says that any projects that were approved after January 1st of 2011, the state can look at those and find out whether they were really an obligation that was adopted. So I think projects that were adopted prior to that January 1st of 2011 date, those projects are solid, and that includes a lot of affordable housing projects and certainly paying off the bonds and so forth. But projects after that, I'm not so sure.
When Governor Brown first started talking about getting rid of redevelopment, he said that there would be a replacement tool, that there would be some other kind of funding available. How likely is that?
I think a lot of legislators are interested in neighborhood revitalization, which of course is the whole purpose of redevelopment. And I think that there are a lot of ideas that are floating out there. Governor Brown talked about a financing mechanism that would allow neighborhoods, communities to vote on issuing bonds that would require less than the normal 2/3 vote. But I haven't seen a bill introduced to that effect. I do think that communities, cities, have a lot of options on their own. We've relied heavily on redevelopment because it's a very powerful tool. But cities have other tools that they can look at as well, such as lease revenue bonds, facilities financing bonds. They can look at special taxing districts and so forth. So I think that they have some options.
Very quickly now, you've been a redevelopment lawyer for a long time. What are some of the local success stories of redevelopment that you would say exist?
Well, I'd say certainly downtown and southeast have both been remarkably successful. I know we've had some scandals, but those scandals should not cloud the fact that they've really been success stories. In fact, I'd say both of the areas have been a national model. We've had some really solid starts in North Park, City Heights, and other parts of the community, and other areas that are moving along, but they're not there yet.
We're going to have to end it there. Mike,
Great.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Amita.
A court system intended to protect abused and neglected children can be a frightening place for kids. We'll meet two women working to make sure children have a voice in the courtroom. And a little later, we'll meet a Marine veteran who's using his survival training to become a natural food entrepreneur. This is KPBS Evening Edition.
Tonight on KPBS at 8, the story of a 5-foot-tall sharpshooter who pulled herself out of poverty to become a world-renowned symbol of the Wild West, Annie Oakley, on American Experience. Then at 9, his life was steeped in prolific violence, and he met the most fitting end for an outlaw of his stature, Jesse James, on American Experience. And at 10, the problem of elected coroners, many with no medical or scientific background, on Frontline. That's tonight on KPBS.
Next time from Eugene, Oregon, it's Antiques Roadshow.
He helped settle part of southern Oregon, and he was a sheep farmer, and he traded a sheep for the powder horn.
I had no idea. I hate a cliche, but I that's amazing.
You're kidding. Mom, are you listening?
Don't miss our visit to Eugene next time on Antiques Roadshow.
Monday at 8 on KPBS. KPBS Evening Edition is made possible by Joan and Erwin Jacobs and by
Health officials in Mexico are reporting a big increase in the number of flu cases, most of them caused by the swine or H1N1 virus. There were more than 1,600 reported flu cases in January, and 90% were from H1N1. There were only about 1,000 cases of flu in Mexico last year, but Mexico's health secretary says this month's number is within the normal range for flu season. Hundreds of foster children in San Diego are looking for someone to speak on their behalf. Abitha has more on that story at the Evening Edition Roundtable.
When an abused and neglected child is removed from a troubled home and placed into foster care, it is traumatic. But who does a child turn to for help in a system which is often on overload and can be impersonal? Voices for Children, a nonprofit group, wants to make sure that each of these children has a court-appointed special advocate. Sharon Lawrence, president and CEO of Voices for Children, and volunteer Christy Ranney are here to talk about how they help children. Sharon, what specifically does a court-appointed special advocate do for a foster child? How do they help these kids?
Well, CASAs, court-appointed special advocates, are community volunteers that are trained by Voices for Children staff. And their job is specifically to get to know a child and their abused family, the parents involved in that child's life, and make reports back to the judge about what that child needs, whether it be educational services, medical services, whether that child needs a different kind of foster family. And so the volunteer is providing recommendations about the entire child to the judge.
What is life like for these foster children who don't have an advocate?
Well, it's very traumatic to come into foster care. Something awful has happened to the child, usually physically and emotionally, and they're removed from their home and from their school and their teacher and their friends, and they're put into usually an institution, an emergency shelter, where they're taken care of by strangers. And so it's very, very hard for these children, and they move oftentimes from foster home to foster home. When a child has a CASA, they have a volunteer, a consistent person in their life that they can rely on, that will be there at school to watch that musical production, or will be there at that new foster home to help them acclimate to what it's like, and someone that they can see on a regular basis. The CASAs also help those children get together so they can see their brothers and sisters, because oftentimes foster children are not placed with their siblings, and so CASAs make sure that they get to see each other. So those children that don't have CASA volunteers are oftentimes alone. They don't understand the court process, and they certainly probably don't see their brothers and sisters as often as those children with CASAs.
Okay, and how many kids don't have CASAs in the county?
There are about 5,000 foster children in San Diego County. This year, about 1,500 will have a CASA. So there are 3,500 children that we need to help.
And your goal?
Our goal in the next couple of months is to find CASA volunteers for 360 children, and those are currently on our waiting list who have been urgently identified as needing a CASA.
Now, Christy, you actually do work as a CASA, as an advocate.
Yes.
These kids who are coming into foster care have been through some horrific experiences. Some have been beaten by their parents, some have been sexually abused, some have been severely neglected. What do you find is their greatest need from a CASA?
Well, first of all, one of the questions that virtually all of my kids, my case kids, have asked is, do you really not get paid for this? Are you really a volunteer? They need to be able to find an adult that is going to be there that they can trust. And for me, the second most critical thing that these kids need is advocacy in education, because without a high school diploma, and many of them do not leave the system with a high school diploma, there's virtually no chance for them for a better life than the one that they left behind.
How many of these kids actually get reunited with a responsible family member?
Well, the children can be placed with a relative in a relative placement, and that frequently is a solution to the problem as long as there's a responsible relative available. But the largest percentage of them do not get reunited with their parents. They actually end up in foster care, in group homes, ultimately, and potentially some are adopted too.
Even though experts say that the longest a child should spend in foster care is about 18 months, they're still not getting moved out of the system.
The reality is that that does not occur with many of the children in the system.
So, Sharon, for anyone who wants to be a CASA, very quickly, what qualities should they have, and how can they become one?
The qualities for a good CASA would be someone who loves children and wants to help them, someone who's a good team player, and someone that has really good judgment. And we're going to train a CASA, a person to be a CASA, so I don't want them to worry about that. Also, every CASA volunteer has a paid professional staff member to help them. But to go to our website at speakupnow.org and get started, there's all sorts of information about how to become a CASA.
We're going to have to close it there. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for speaking to us today.
Archie's Acres is a San Diego program training veterans in sustainable agriculture and business skills. It's designed to help them transition into civilian life. KPBS reporter Allison St. John introduces us to a combat vet who's launching his own business based on his survival training.
There are a lot of hot sauces on the shelves here at Whole Foods. There's a story behind this hot sauce, Forager Mike's Dang Hot Sauce. It's the story of Marine combat veteran Mike Haynes.
You can camouflage yourself with natural camo, and you can stalk up and touch a deer.
Haynes has a passion for the outdoors and for wild edible foods.
I think it really started for me in SEER school, actually. And SEER school is a school that all recon Marines have to go through because it's a prisoner of war training school. So it stands for, SEER is S-E-R-E. It stands for Survive, Evade, Resist, Escape. So they teach you a little bit about survival, you know, and how to survive if you're captured, pretty much. So I started learning about wild edible plants during that time.
This is the paddle Haynes was given when he left the Marine Corps in 2004. It has his insignia, his award ribbons, and phrases he was known for.
There's natural foods all around us. Let's go pick a salad. I would say that one quite a bit.
Haynes is always on the lookout for wild edibles.
These are really good. I've ever tried these. Little mustard flower tops there. This is a picture of my team in recon. But I'm in your far right there.
That's you here?
Yes. That's a tough group right there.
When Haynes got back from Iraq in 2004, he did not have an easy time.
The combat experience is a totally different scenario. And coming back and kind of letting that go is very difficult at times. You just don't come back and it's all gone. Because turning that, you know, the on switch that's been triggered when you're in combat is you know, it's turned on, but turning it off is a very difficult process at times. And it takes time, you know. Upon getting out, I just had some tremendous trust issues and some very serious anger issues as well.
Haynes tried to hold down a job, but it didn't last long. He went back to school, and for 2 years he was homeless, living in canyons near Balboa Park downtown.
So I'd go to school, do my homework at the computer room. When they closed, that's when I would go out and find a place like this. So I'd crash out there at night.
This is where the Marine reconnaissance training came in handy.
I'd probably turn around and go back. The reason being is because this looks like a well-worn trail. We would patrol all night long, and then during the day, to hide from the enemy, we would harbor up under a bush. And that's what we were training for all this time. So we'd be under thick brush all day long. I was safe in nature. You know, that was my kind of my comfort zone, and it still is at times, you know.
What turned Haynes' life around was a 6-week course, the Veterans Sustainable Agriculture Training Course, or VSAT, at Archie's Acres in North San Diego.
This is what wild lettuce looks like.
It turned out that wild edible foods became Haynes' ticket to survival in a whole new way. During the course, he learned how to develop and present a business plan, and he chose to pitch something he had made for years, a hot sauce with all organic raw ingredients.
What you're looking at here, this is my dang business plan presentation. And the reason why it's called that is because, in fact, that is the name of the hot sauce. It's called Dang. So there's some samples going on out there. I hope to hear some crunching as I'm giving this presentation.
Haynes was introduced to an investor to back his new business. He found a small production company in Vista that specializes in making raw organic products to mix, bottle, and package his hot sauce.
The hot sauce is it has 3 superfoods in there, and it has maca, spirulina, and mesquite. In order to make this raw and the highest integrity, I used apple cider vinegar, raw apple cider vinegar.
He was also introduced to a purchaser at Whole Foods, Dwight Detter, who immediately saw the potential of Dang hot sauce as a hot seller.
I met Mike. We spent a couple hours together reviewing his product, reviewing his labeling, his packaging, everything about it, where he was having it manufactured, and said, okay, let's work on this.
Detter served in the military in the 1970s. He made a connection with Haynes, remembering how hard it was to transition out of the military.
It's an interesting hot sauce. A lot of hot sauces are there just to burn your mouth and create a lot of heat. What was fun with it is that it was organic and it had these 3 superfoods that none of the other hot sauces had. So you have a unique flavor, you have some unique ingredients in it, and along with Mike's story, makes for a triply fun hot sauce to put on the shelves.
Haynes never thought his love of natural foods would help him survive in business. He's thinking beyond his own survival now.
The environment is what sustains our lives, you know, and we have to respect that. So, and we have to understand our connection to that if we are going to create a sustainable future for our future generations. And being that I have a daughter, that's very foremost on my mind.
That story from KPBS reporter Allison St. John. Dang hot sauce hit the shelves at Whole Foods last month. This is KPBS Evening Edition.
I'm Gwen Eiffel on the next News Hour, the politics and the problems of mortgage foreclosure. That's Tuesday on the PBS News Hour.
The American people have named PBS the most trusted source of news and public affairs.
For the 8th year in a row.
Trust.
The American people have spoken.
Thank you.
The idea of the Freedom Rides is challenging segregation so frontally and so aggressively.
We were past fear. If one person falls, others take their place.
I asked God to be with me, to give me the strength I would need to remain nonviolent.
We knew that we had taken a stand and that it was going to be better.
Freedom Riders, an American experience film.
February 6th, beginning at 8 on KPBS.
Welcome back to the Public Square on KPBS Evening Edition. Earlier, we told you about a positive new report about San Diego's economy. For 2 months in a row, San Diego's leading economic indicators have been going up, with more companies looking to hire, more construction permits being requested, and more consumer confidence. We want to know if you're seeing better times ahead in your own life. Are you seeing the unemployed get hired? Are you spending more? Let us know. You can follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and of course, you can email us. And now, Dwayne Brown has a recap of tonight's top stories.
San Diego School Board got its first look today at proposed cuts for the next school year. The proposal includes laying off 800 teachers. Nearly 100 local businesses are being warned to stop selling a synthetic drug known as bath salts. Selling them is already against the law in California. Now, police and prosecutors are cracking down. And Kaiser workers in San Diego joined their peers across the state for a one-day walkout. This is their 4th strike since contract negotiations began 2 years ago. You can watch and comment on any of the stories you saw tonight on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks so much for joining us. You have a great night. We leave you with a look at the forecast.
This program is made possible by the members of KPBS and our program underwriters.